Captain Jake Morrison stood at the observation deck of the human ship. Aurora's dawn and watched the massive space station grow larger in the viewport. The station spun slowly against the starfield, like a giant wheel made of metal and lights. This was Harmony Station, built in neutral space for one purpose. Today humans would meet the Velteran Empire for the first time. Jake adjusted his dress uniform and checked his watch. In 2 hours, he would shake hands with beings from another world. The thought made his stomach tight with nerves. He had fought in 3 border wars and commanded ships in dangerous space. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. Dr. Lisa Carter walked up beside him, carrying a small tablet. Her brown hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and her scientist uniform looked perfect. She was the best xenobiologist Earth had, and spoke 12 human languages. If anyone could help them talk to aliens, it was Lisa. "The translation devices are working perfectly," she said. "We tested them on all the Velteran message recordings they sent us. The computers can handle their language now." Jake nodded. "What do we know about their culture again?" Lisa touched her tablet screen. "They care a lot about honor and respect. Their society has strict rules about debt and service. The color of their skin changes based on their emotions and social rank. Golden skin means high status or great happiness. Blue means sadness or respect. We should be very polite and formal." "Got it," Jake said. He looked at his small team. Commander Alex Rodriguez stood near the door, talking quietly with engineer Sam Taylor. Alex was his mentor and best friend, a man who had taught Jake everything about leadership. Sam was young but brilliant with technology, always curious about how things worked. The ship's speaker crackled. "Captain Morrison to the docking bay. We are ready to transfer to the station." Jake took a deep breath. Time to make history. The team moved through the ship's corridors to the docking tube that connected them to Harmony Station. The station's artificial gravity felt different under their feet. The air smelled of recycled atmosphere and metal. Jake had been on many stations, but this one felt special, almost sacred. They walked through long hallways, lined with windows showing the stars outside. Other corridors branched off in different directions, leading to quarters for both human and alien delegations. The station was huge, big enough to house thousands of people. Finally they reached the Grand Assembly Hall. Jake stopped at the entrance and stared. The room was enormous with a domed ceiling that showed a projection of swirling galaxies. Tables were arranged in a circle with Earth's flag on one side and a strange symbol on the other side. That symbol belonged to the Velteran Empire. "Welcome, Captain Morrison." A human diplomat in a black suit approached them. "I am Director Hayes from the Diplomatic Corps. The Velteran delegation arrived 1 hour ago. Are you ready?" Jake straightened his shoulders. "We're ready." The doors on the opposite side of the hall opened. Jake's breath caught in his throat as the aliens entered. The Velterans were tall and graceful, moving like dancers. Their skin looked like living crystal that shifted colors as they walked. The leader wore flowing robes of deep purple and her skin glowed with soft silver light. Behind her walked a younger Velteran female, whose skin was pale gold. She was smaller than the others, but carried herself with obvious importance. Her large eyes were violet and seemed to take in everything around her. This had to be Princess Zarathi's, heir to the Velteran throne. The two groups met in the center of the hall. Director Hayes stepped forward first. "On behalf of humanity and the United Earth Government, we welcome you to Harmony Station. May this be the beginning of lasting peace between our peoples." The older Velteran bowed slightly. Her voice came through the translation device as musical tones that became English words. "I am Ambassador Nixala of the Velteran Empire. We greet you in the name of the eternal stars. This is Princess Sarathius, beloved daughter of our emperor." The princess stepped forward and her skin brightened to pure gold. "We are honored to meet the brave humans who travel between the stars. Your messages spoke of friendship and mutual learning." These words pleased our hearts greatly. Jake felt some of his nervousness fade. The princess seemed genuinely happy to be there. Her translator made her voice sound young and eager, full of curiosity about humans. "I am Captain Jake Morrison," he said. "We bring gifts from Earth and an offer of friendship." He gestured to Sam, who brought forward a small case containing examples of human art, music, and literature. The princess accepted the case with both hands, her skin flashing brighter. "Gold. These gifts honor us. We too have brought symbols of our culture to share." Ambassador Nick Sala presented a crystalline sculpture that seemed to contain tiny stars. "This represents the light of knowledge shared between minds." The ceremony continued, with formal speeches and careful exchanges of cultural information. Jake began to relax as the princess asked questions about Earth and human technology. She seemed especially interested in their ships and how humans had learned to travel between stars without the natural abilities her people possessed. "Your species achieved spaceflight through determination and creativity," Princess Zarathis said. "This shows great strength of spirit. We would learn much from each other." Jake was about to respond when he noticed movement in the Velteran group. One of the aliens in the back had separated from the others and was moving toward the princess. Something about his movement seemed wrong. Too quick and focused. The alien's skin was dark red, a color Jake had not seen before. His hand reached inside his robes and came out holding a curved blade that glowed with energy. The weapon hummed. As it powered up, time seemed too slow. Jake saw the assassin leap toward Princess Zarathis, with the blade raised high. The princess turned, but not fast enough. The weapon was coming down toward her neck. Jake did not think. He threw himself forward, pushing the princess aside as the energy blade came down. The weapon pierced through his chest, just below his right shoulder. Pain exploded through his body as the blade's energy burned through muscle and bone. He hit the floor hard with the assassin on top of him. Blood spread across his uniform as the alien pulled the blade free for another strike. But Commander Rodriguez was already there, tackling the assassin and wrestling the weapon away. "Princess." Zarathis knelt beside Jake as Dr. Carter rushed over with her medical kit. The princess's skin had turned brilliant gold, brighter than any color they had seen. Her hands pressed against Jake's wound to stop the bleeding. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you save me?" Jake looked up into her violet eyes as darkness crept in around his vision. "Because it was right," he said simply, before unconsciousness took him. The last thing he saw was the princess's skin changing to deep azure blue, a color that made Ambassador Nixala gasp in shock. Something important had just happened, something that would change everything between their peoples. Jake woke up slowly, his chest burning with every breath. The medical bay ceiling above him was white and clean, filled with soft humming sounds from life support machines. He tried to sit up, but gentle hands pushed him back down. "Stay still," Dr. Lisa Carter said. "The energy blade missed your heart by 2 centimeters. You're lucky to be alive." Jake turned his head and saw Princess Zarathis sitting in a chair beside his bed. Her crystalline skin was still that deep azure blue color, pulsing gently like a slow heartbeat. She had not left his side since the attack 3 days ago. "Princess," Jake said through the translation device near his bed, "you should not be here. You have important duties." The princess leaned forward, her violet eyes intense. "My most important duty is here, Captain Morrison. You saved my life, at the cost of your own blood. This creates a sacred bond between us." Double quotes. Dr. Carter looked confused. "What kind of bond, Ambassador?" Nixala entered the medical bay with a worried expression. Her skin was pale, silver, almost white. "Dr. Carter, we must speak privately about Velteran customs. The princess has entered something we call Kethis Vel Naylor." "What does that mean?" Lisa asked. "A life debt," Nixala explained quietly. When someone saves a Velterand life through personal sacrifice, the saved person becomes bound to serve their rescuer until the debt is repaid through equal sacrifice. It is an ancient custom, rarely used in modern times. Jake felt his stomach drop. Princess, I don't want you to serve me. That was not why I saved you. Princess Zarathis' skin flashed brighter blue. The debt is not about what you want, brave Jake Morrison. It is about honor and the sacred balance of life. Until I risk my life to save yours, I am bound to your service. But you're the heir to an empire, Lisa protested. You can't just abandon your responsibilities. The princess speaks truth, Nixala said sadly. This is why the life debt has not been invoked by royalty for 3 centuries. It creates impossible situations. The medical bay doors opened, and Commander Alex Rodriguez entered, his face grim. Behind him walked a tall Velteran male with dark green skin and silver armor. The alien's presence filled the room with authority and barely controlled anger. This is High Commander Kethmer of the Velteran Imperial Fleet, Alex said. He has some concerns about recent events. Kethmer's skin shifted to deeper green as he spoke. I come to investigate claims that humans have manipulated our princess into an illegal bond. The hegemony faction demands answers. What's the hegemony? Jake asked, trying to sit up despite the pain. Ambassador Nixala's skin turned pale with worry. A political group that opposes contact with other species. They believe Velterans are superior and should not associate with aliens. The assassination attempt has given them power. They say the attack was staged, Kethmer continued. They claim humans hired the assassin to create a false rescue, binding our princess through trickery. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. That's ridiculous. I nearly died protecting her. The hegemony does not care about truth, Kethmer said. They spread lies to gain support. Half our people now believe humans are dangerous manipulators who threaten our empire. Princess Zarathis stood up, her skin flashing golden. Hi, Commander. You know me since childhood. Do you believe I could be fooled so easily? Kethmer's expression softened slightly. No, Princess. But the situation is dangerous. War fleets gather at our borders. Some call for immediate action against humanity. Then we must prove human honor, the princess said firmly. Challenge Captain Morrison to ritual combat. Let him show his worth through battle. Jake's eyes widened. Combat? I can barely stand up. If you refuse, it will seem like admission of guilt, Kethmer explained. The ritual is simple. We fight until one yields or cannot continue. No weapons, only strength and will. Dr. Carter shook her head. Absolutely not. Jake's wound is still healing. Fighting could kill him. If I don't fight, it could mean war between our species, Jake said quietly. He looked at the princess, whose skin was now pure gold with worry. I have to do this. 2 hours later, Jake stood in the station's cargo bay. The space had been cleared, and both human and Velteran observers lined the walls. Jake wore simple clothes that let him move freely, though every motion sent pain through his chest. High Commander Kethmer removed his armor and stood in the center of the bay. His green skin was darker now, almost black. He was bigger than Jake and clearly stronger, with muscles that rippled under his crystalline surface. The rules are simple, Kethmer announced. We fight until one cannot continue. Victory goes to the one who shows greater courage and honor. Jake nodded and stepped forward. The Velteran moved like lightning, faster than any human could match. His first strike sent Jake stumbling backward, gasping as pain shot through his injured chest. Kethmer pressed his advantage, grabbing Jake and throwing him across the bay. Jake hit the floor hard and rolled, trying to get distance. The alien was too fast and too strong. This was going to be a short fight, but as Kethmer approached for the finishing move, Jake did something unexpected. Instead of trying to match the alien's strength, He used his smaller size to slip inside the alien's reach. He wrapped his arms around Kethmer's waist and held on, using his weight to unbalance the larger fighter. They fell together, Jake using techniques Alex had taught him years ago. On the ground, size mattered less than leverage and determination. Jake managed to get behind Kethmer and lock his arm around the alien's throat. Kethmer was stronger, but Jake refused to let go, even when the alien's struggles reopened his wound. Blood soaked through Jake's shirt as he held on with desperate strength. He would not yield. He could not yield. Finally, Kethmer stopped struggling. "Enough," he said quietly. "I yield." Jake released him and collapsed, breathing hard. Dr. Carter rushed over to check his wound, while Princess Zarathis knelt beside him, her skin blazing with golden light. High Commander Kethmer stood slowly, his skin now a respectful silver color. "You fight with honor, Jake Morrison. Even wounded, you would not surrender. This shows true courage. Does this prove humans did not trick the princess?" Ambassador Nixala asked hopefully. Kethmer nodded slowly. A man who would risk death while already injured to defend his honor is not a schemer. The princess chose her debt bond wisely. "Princess," Zarathis helped Jake sit up. "Hi, Commander. I request permission to travel to the human homeworld. I must learn their ways to properly serve my debt." "Princess, that is dangerous," Kethmer warned. "The hegemony will see it as abandoning your people." "My first duty is to honor," she replied firmly. "The life debt must be fulfilled properly. I will go to Earth and serve Captain Morrison until I can repay what I owe." Jake wanted to protest again, but he saw the determination in her violet eyes. This was bigger than what he wanted. This was about honor and respect between their peoples. "Very well," Kethmer said reluctantly. "But know that this choice may have consequences. The hegemony grows stronger each day. Some of our people may see your journey as betrayal. Then we must hope that understanding between our species can grow faster than fear," Princess Zarathis said. As medical teams helped Jake back to the healing bay, he realized his simple act of courage had started something much larger than himself. The princess was bound to him now, but more than that, the fate of two civilizations might depend on how well they could learn to trust each other. The life debt was just the beginning. The journey to Earth took 2 weeks aboard the Aurora's Dawn. Jake spent most of the first few days recovering in his cabin while Princess Zarathis insisted on bringing him meals and checking his bandages, having galactic royalty serve him. Food felt deeply wrong, but every time he protested, her skin would flash that stubborn golden color. "This is my duty," she would say simply. "Your people have a saying about honor. Yes, you showed honor when you saved my life. Now I show honor by serving yours." Dr. Lisa Carter spent hours with the princess, teaching her about human customs and learning about Velteron biology. The princess's crystalline skin was more than just decoration. It could actually sense electromagnetic fields and even interface with certain types of technology. "Fascinating," Lisa said, as she watched the princess's hand glow softly while touching a computer panel. "Your skin can read electronic signals directly. That must make using technology very different for your people." Princess Zarathis nodded, her skin shifting to curious purple. "We grow up connecting with our machines. Your people build tools to extend your reach. We become one with our tools. Both ways have wisdom." Engineer Sam Taylor was even more excited by these discoveries. He spent every free moment showing the princess human technology and learning about Velteron engineering. When she demonstrated how her people grew crystalline circuits instead of manufacturing them, Sam's eyes lit up like a child seeing magic. "We could combine our approaches," he said eagerly. "Human creativity with Velteran biointegration. We could build ships that grow and adapt, computers that think and feel." The princess's skin brightened to happy gold. "Yes, this is why contact between our peoples is good. We each have pieces of larger understanding. Together, we can build wonders." But Not everyone shared their optimism. Ambassador Nixala spent much of her time monitoring communications from the Velteron Empire. Her skin remained worried silver most days. The hegemony grows stronger, she reported during one of their daily meetings. They claim the princess has been brainwashed by human technology. Some border systems have declared support for their cause. Jake looked up from the tactical reports Commander Alex had been showing him. What exactly do they want? Complete separation from all alien species, Nixala explained. They believe contact with others weakens Velteran purity. Some even call for preemptive strikes against human worlds. That's insane, Dr. Carter said. We haven't done anything threatening. Princess Zarathi's skin flickered with angry red patterns. The hegemony has always existed, but they were a small voice in our society. The assassination attempt gave them a platform to spread fear. Fear makes people do terrible things. When they finally reached Earth, Jake was amazed by the crowd waiting at the orbital station. News of the first alien contact had spread across human space, and everyone wanted to see Princess Zarathis. But the reactions were mixed. Some people held signs welcoming the princess and calling for friendship between species. Others carried banners demanding that Earth reject all alien influence. A few extremist groups had even gathered with weapons, claiming the princess was an advanced scout for invasion. Your people are divided about our presence, the princess observed as they watched the crowds through the station windows. Her skin was thoughtful purple. This is natural. Change frightens many beings. I'm sorry about the protesters, Jake said. Most humans are good people, but some react badly to things they don't understand. Do not apologize for your species. Nature, she replied. Velterans also have those who fear change. The hegemony proves this. The princess's first days on Earth were full of wonder and confusion. She marveled at human cities with their mixture of old and new architecture. She was fascinated by how humans had adapted their world instead of adapting themselves to it, building machines to fly instead of growing wings. But she was also troubled by what she saw during a visit to a refugee camp for people displaced by recent colonial conflicts. Her skin turned deep purple with sadness. Your people suffer while having the technology to help them, she said quietly. Why do some humans have so much while others have so little? Jake struggled to explain human economics and politics. We're still learning how to share resources fairly. It's one of our biggest challenges. The princess spent the entire day at the refugee camp, using her knowledge of Velteran medicine to help human doctors treat sick children. Her skin glowed with soft healing light as she worked, and Jake realized she was using her own energy to power medical devices. You're exhausting yourself, he protested. This isn't your responsibility. Her skin flashed defiant gold. These are your people, Jake Morrison? Your pain is my pain, while the life debt exists. I cannot stand idle while I have power to help. Word of her actions spread quickly through human media. Some outlets praised her compassion, but others claimed she was trying to make humans dependent on alien help. The controversy grew worse when she began sharing Velteran agricultural techniques with Earth's farming communities. She's giving away advanced technology, one news anchor complained. What does she expect in return? This could be part of a larger plan to control our food supply. Jake watched the broadcast with growing anger. They're making her sound like some kind of spy when all she wants to do is help. Dr. Carter shook her head sadly. Fear makes people paranoid. They can't believe someone might help without wanting something back. Meanwhile, the situation in Velteran space was getting worse. Intercepted communications showed hegemony fleets massing near the border between their territories and human space. They claimed to be preparing a rescue mission to save their beloved princess from human manipulation. It's the same pattern Commander Alex explained during a security briefing. They twist every kind act into evidence of some conspiracy. When she helps refugees, they say she's creating human dependence. When she shares technology, they call it sabotage. Princess Zarathius listened to these reports with growing concern. Her skin cycled through worried silver and determined gold. Perhaps I should return home to face these accusations directly. That could be exactly what they want, Jake pointed out. If you go back now, they might claim you were sent to spy on human defenses. There's no way to win against people who are determined to misunderstand your actions. The crisis deepened when extremist groups on both sides began planning violent action. Human supremacists threatened to attack the princess during her public appearances, while hegemony forces prepared for what they called a liberation strike against Earth. Sam Taylor approached Jake with disturbing news from his monitoring of deep space communications. Captain, I'm picking up massive energy signatures from the direction of Velteron space. Those aren't civilian ships. Jake felt his chest tighten with familiar pre-battle tension. How many vessels? At least 50 major warships, probably more. They're moving toward our border systems and making no attempt to hide their presence. Princess Zarathis closed her eyes when she heard the report. Her skin turned the deepest blue Jake had ever seen, almost black with sadness. The hegemony has convinced enough of our people that action is necessary. They come to save me from human influence, but they will bring war to both our peoples. Maybe we can still negotiate, Dr. Carter suggested hopefully. If we can prove that you're here by choice, that you're being treated well. The princess shook her head. The hegemony does not want proof. They want conflict. My presence here gives them the excuse they have long sought to demonstrate Velteran's superiority over other species. Jake looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, warships were approaching with enough firepower to devastate human colonies. The life debt that had begun with a simple act of courage was about to pull two civilizations into a war neither could afford. We need to prepare Earth's defenses, he said quietly, and we need to find a way to show both our peoples that cooperation is stronger than conquest. Princess Zarathis placed her hand on his shoulder, her skin glowing with resolve. The life debt brought me here, but perhaps that was always meant to be. If war comes, let it find us standing together, rather than apart. As alarm signals began, sounding across Earth's orbital defense network, Jake realized that their greatest test was just beginning. The attack came without warning at dawn on Kepler Colony, a small human settlement near the border between human and Velteran space. Jake watched the emergency broadcast in horror as hegemony warships turned the peaceful farming world into burning. Ruins 300,000 civilians, Commander Alex reported grimly. The attack lasted less than 2 hours. They hit every major population center. Princess Sarathia stood frozen at the view screen, her skin completely white with shock. The images of burning human cities reflected in her violet eyes as she watched her own people commit acts of terrible violence. This is my fault, she whispered. They did this because of me. No, Jake said firmly. They did this because they chose hatred over understanding. You didn't make that choice for them. The hegemony broadcast followed immediately after the attack footage. A tall Velteran with blood-red skin stood before their symbol, his voice full of righteous anger. Beings of the galaxy, witness the liberation of our beloved Princess Zarathius from human captivity. The weak species called humanity has held our royal heir prisoner, using their primitive psychology to corrupt her noble mind. Today we begin the cleansing that will free her from their influence. Dr. Lisa Carter stared at the screen in disbelief. They're calling the princess a prisoner. Anyone can see she's here by choice. Truth doesn't matter to them, Ambassador Nixala said sadly. Her skin had turned, almost transparent, with grief. The hegemony wants war. They have been preparing for this moment for years. Princess Zarathis suddenly straightened, her skin cycling rapidly through different colors before settling on determined. Gold. I must speak to my people. They need to hear the truth from my own voice. Jake shook his head. If you broadcast from Earth, they'll triangulate your position. The hegemony will know exactly where to find you. Let them come, the princess said fiercely. I will not hide while innocent humans die because of the life debt I created. My people must know that I serve willingly, that humans are not the monsters the hegemony claims. Within hours, Princess Zarathis had prepared a message that would be broadcast across all Velteran communication networks. She stood in the Aurora's Dawn Communication Center, her skin blazing with royal gold as she spoke to her people. Children of the eternal stars, I am Princess Zarathis, your future empress. I speak to you now with a free voice and an unbroken spirit. The hegemony lies when they claim I am prisoner. I am here by sacred choice, honoring a life debt to the human who saved me from assassination. Jake watched as she continued, her voice growing stronger with each word. I have lived among humans for many days now. I have seen their kindness to strangers, their willingness to help those in need, their courage in the face of danger. They are not the inferior beings the hegemony claims. They are potential friends and allies, beings of honor, who deserve our respect. The broadcast went out across subspace, reaching every Velteran world simultaneously. But Jake knew it would also give away their exact location to enemy forces. Hegemony battle groups are already changing course toward Earth, Sam Taylor reported. Massive fleet formations, more ships than we've ever seen in one place. Commander Alex looked at the tactical displays with the calm expression of a man who had faced impossible odds before. Our defense fleet is good, but we're outnumbered, 10 to 1. Earth's planetary shields might hold for a few hours at most. Princess Zarathis approached Jake, her skin now pulsing with deep blue resolve. There is a way to stop this war, but it will require great sacrifice from both of us. What do you mean? Jake asked. She gestured to Sam Taylor, who brought up technical diagrams on the main screen. Engineer Taylor and I have been working on a theoretical weapon system that combines human engineering with Velteran energy manipulation. It could disable enemy ships without destroying them. Jake studied the complex diagrams. What's the catch? The system requires a direct neural interface between human and Velteran biology, Sam explained. Someone would have to link their nervous system directly to the ship's computers while channeling Velteran energy patterns. The feedback could be fatal. Princess Zarathis' skin brightened. If I sacrifice my life to save both our peoples, the life debt would be fulfilled. More importantly, it might show both species that cooperation is possible. Absolutely not, Jake said immediately. I won't let you kill yourself to clean up a mess that isn't your fault. The mess exists because I invoked the life debt, she insisted. This is my responsibility to fix. Dr. Carter looked up from studying the technical specifications. Actually, there might be another way. If both of you interface with the system simultaneously, you could share the neural load. It would still be dangerous, but survivable. Jake felt a familiar tightness in his chest, the same feeling he had experienced just before throwing himself in front of the assassin's blade. If we do this together, we're both risking death. Princess Zarathis smiled, her skin cycling through rainbow patterns of hope and determination. Yes, but we face that risk as equals. No debt, no obligation, just two beings choosing to stand together. The next few hours passed in frantic preparation. Earth's defense fleet took position around the planet, while Sam worked with Velteran technicians to install the hybrid weapon system aboard the Aurora's Dawn. The ship would have to get close to the enemy fleet for the weapon to be effective. As hegemony forces approached the edge of the solar system, another development changed everything. Hi, Commander Kethmer's voice crackled over the emergency channels. Princess Zarathis, this is the Imperial Fleet. Your broadcast has reached loyal ears. Many of our people reject the hegemony's lies. We come to stand with you. Jake watched in amazement as Velteran ships began dropping out of hyperspace near Earth. These vessels flew different markings than the hegemony fleet, and their formations moved to defensive positions around human space. Civil War, Ambassador Nixala said quietly. The Empire tears itself apart over whether to trust or destroy humanity. The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. 3 different fleets clashed in the space around Earth. Hegemony forces tried to break through to the planet. Loyalist Velterons fought to protect the princess, and human ships defended their homeworld with desperate courage. In the chaos of the massive space battle, Jake and Princess Zarathis made their way to the hybrid weapon system. The device looked like a combination of human-computer technology and Velteron crystal formations, pulsing with strange energies. "Are you ready?" the princess asked, her skin now pure white with nervous energy. Jake took her crystalline hand in his human one. Together, she confirmed. They pressed their hands against the interface panels, and Jake felt electricity surge through his body, but this was different from the assassin's blade. This energy was shared, flowing between him and the princess as their minds connected through the machine. He could suddenly sense the battle raging around them, feel the positions of every ship, understand the flow of energy through both human and Velteran technology. Through the princess's connection, he could even sense the emotions of the combatants. Their fear and anger and desperate hope, working together, they aimed the hybrid weapon at the largest hegemony battlecruiser and fired. A pulse of pure energy erupted from the Aurora's dawn, washing over the enemy ship and shutting down its weapons and engines without harming the crew. The effect rippled outward as they targeted ship after ship, disabling the hegemony fleet one vessel at a time. But the effort was tremendous, draining both their life forces as they channeled more energy than either species was meant to handle alone. Jake felt his vision starting to fade when Dr. Carter's voice reached him through the connection. "That's enough. You've disabled their main battle line. The Loyalist fleet can handle the rest." As they disconnected from the weapon system, both Jake and Princess Zarathius collapsed. But they were alive, and around them the battle was ending. The hegemony fleet drifted powerless, while Loyalist and human ships moved to secure the disabled vessels. Princess Zarathis looked at Jake with eyes that sparkled with exhausted joy. Her skin was cycling through colors he had never seen before, patterns that seemed to represent something beyond simple emotions. "The life debt is fulfilled," she said softly. "We saved each other's lives in the same moment. But more than that, we saved both our peoples by proving they could work together." Jake smiled, despite his exhaustion. "So what happens now?" "Now we build something new," she replied. "Not human, not Velteron, but something that combines the best of both." As medical teams from both species worked together to treat the wounded, Jake realized that the war was over, but their real work was just beginning. 6 months after the battle above Earth, Jake stood on the observation deck of New Harmony Station and watched construction ships from both species working together in space. The new station was bigger than the original, designed to serve as headquarters for the Sol Velteran Alliance. Princess Zarathius joined him at the viewing port, her skin now displaying the golden patterns that marked her new status as Empress of the Velteran people. The Civil War had ended quickly once the hegemony lost their fleet, and the old emperor had stepped down to let his daughter lead their species into a new age. "The integration goes well," she observed, watching human and Velteran engineers installing a massive communication array together. "Your people learn our crystal technology quickly, and we find human improvisation fascinating." Jake nodded, still adjusting to his new role as Earth's first ambassador to the Velteron Empire. "Sam says the hybrid ships will be ready for testing next month. Vessels that can grow and adapt like yours, but built with human engineering principles." "A perfect combination," Zarathis agreed. Her formal title was now Empress, but she had insisted that Jake continue using her given name in private, just like us. Their relationship had evolved far beyond the original life debt. What had begun as sacred obligation had grown into genuine friendship, then something deeper. The shared experience of nearly dying together while saving both their peoples had created a bond that transcended species differences. Dr. Lisa Carter approached from the station's medical bay, carrying a tablet full of data. Her work studying Velteron biology had led to breakthroughs in treating diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. The refugee resettlement project is exceeding all expectations, she reported. Velteron agricultural techniques have increased crop yields by 300% on the colony worlds. We're actually producing surplus food for the first time in decades. Jake smiled. The princess was right when she said our peoples could help each other. Empress Zarathis corrected gently. Though I admit, I prefer the informal address when we're among friends. The transformation of both societies had been remarkable. Human creativity combined with Velteron wisdom had produced advances in technology, medicine, and agriculture that neither species could have achieved alone. More importantly, the cultural exchange had taught both peoples valuable lessons about cooperation and understanding. Commander Alex Rodriguez joined their group, looking more relaxed than Jake had seen him in years. The threat of war had been replaced by the challenges of peace, and Alex thrived in his new role as head of joint military operations. The first mixed colony ships launch next week, he announced. Human families and Velteran clans working together to establish new worlds. It's going to be interesting. Challenging, Zarathis added with amusement. Your people and mine have very different ideas about proper child rearing and education. Sam Taylor bounded over with his usual enthusiasm, his arms full of crystal components that glowed with inner light. Empress, the new communication crystals are working perfectly. We can now talk to anyone in either territory instantly, no matter how far apart we are. The young engineer had become fascinated with Velteran technology, spending months learning how to grow electronic components instead of manufacturing them. His innovations had revolutionized communication throughout both civilizations. What's the status of the hegemony prisoners? Jake asked. Alex's expression grew more serious. Most of them have accepted the new reality. A few dozen hardliners are still in detention, but even they're starting to see the benefits of cooperation. Hard to argue with tripled food production and cured diseases. Fear takes time to heal, Zarathis said wisely. But each success makes the next step easier. Jake looked around at the mixed crowd of humans and Velterans working together throughout the station. Children from both species played together in the recreational areas, their differences seeming natural rather than strange. It was a sight that would have been impossible just months ago. Do you ever regret it? He asked Zarathis quietly. Giving up your old life to honor the life debt? Her skin shifted to warm gold patterns that reminded him of sunset on Earth. Never. The debt brought us together. But what we built afterward came from choice, not obligation. That makes it stronger. Ambassador Nixala approached their group with news from the Velteran homeworld. The Council has approved the proposal for joint exploration missions. Next year we begin mapping the unknown regions beyond both our territories. Together, Jake said, liking the sound of that word more each time he heard it. Together, Zarathis agreed, as the day cycle ended and the station's lights dimmed to simulate nighttime. Jake found himself walking through the gardens that had been created in the station's central hub. Plants from both Earth and the Velteran homeworld grew side by side, creating beautiful combinations of colors and scents that neither species had imagined alone. Zarathis walked beside him, her skin glowing softly in the darkness. I have been thinking about the future, she said, about what our children might become. Jake felt his heart skip. They had talked about the possibility of a family, though the biological challenges were complex. Dr. Carter believed that with careful genetic therapy, human and Velteran DNA could be combined safely. What do you think they would be like? He asked. Strong like humans, she said thoughtfully. Curious and brave, willing to take risks for what they believe in. But also wise, like Velterans, understanding that true strength comes from harmony, rather than conflict. They would belong to both peoples, Jake realized. Living bridges between our species. The first of many, I hope, Zarathius said. Children who grow up thinking cooperation is normal, who cannot imagine why their parents' peoples ever fought. They paused at the center of the garden, where a memorial had been erected to those who died at Kepler Colony. The names of the victims were carved into crystal that caught and reflected light from both human and Velteran sources. We cannot bring them back, Zarathius said sadly, but we can make sure their sacrifice led to something beautiful. Jake placed his hand over hers. On the memorial. The life debt is fulfilled, but the work continues. Yes, she agreed. Building the future is a debt we owe to everyone who believed peace was possible. As they stood together in the garden, Jake thought about how a single moment of courage had changed everything. His decision to step in front of an assassin's blade had created a chain of events that transformed to civilizations. But it wasn't the heroic act itself that mattered most. It was what came after, the slow work of building trust and understanding between different peoples. The life debt had been fulfilled, but what they had created together would last forever. Human determination combined with Velteran wisdom. Human creativity, enhanced by alien insight. Two species learning that their differences made them stronger rather than weaker. In the distance, construction lights marked the skeleton of their first joint colony ship, a vessel that would carry both human families and Velteran clans to new worlds, where their children would grow up as citizens of two species. It was a symbol of everything they had built together, everything they hoped to become. Jake squeezed Zarathia's crystalline hand and felt her skin warm with happiness. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to prove that cooperation was stronger than conflict. But tonight, in the garden they had planted together, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of two civilizations, learning to live as one. Jake knew they had already won the most important victory of all. They had chosen trust over fear, understanding over hatred, unity over division. The blade that had once threatened to divide them had instead become the foundation of something greater than either species could have imagined alone. The life debt was repaid, but their journey together had only just begun.